Hello everyone and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. In this video, I'll be going over how you can integrate your Flutter application with Firebase. We're not going to do any insertion or deletion or fetching from the Firebase. We're just going to integrate our Flutter app with Firebase for iOS as well as Android. And we're going to see all the errors that's going to happen during our integration, and we're going to try to solve those errors. All right, and this will be part of my new course that I'm working for Flutter with Firebase, and it will be available sometime next year in January or February. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over to View, and I'm using VS Code, but you can use anything you want. I'm going to go to Command Palette and create a new Flutter project. I'm going to go ahead and call it Simple To-Do List. And I'm going to put it on desktop, that's fine. So this is going to run the wizard and it's going to create a simple to-do list project. As you can see on the left-hand side, it's already pretty much done now. All right, great. Okay, so what's the next step? Well, the next step is to go and create a project on Firebase console. So I'm going to go to Firebase console, which you can go simply going to console.firebase.google.com. You can see that I already have a couple of projects like grocery app and to-do list app. I'm just going to add a new project and I will call it anything I want. So I'm just going to call it Simple To-Do List and continue. This is basically saying if you want to add Google Analytics, that's fine. I'm just going to say continue, select an account, whatever the default account is, and create a project. So this is going to create kind of like an empty scaffolding project on Firebase console. We still have to integrate it with an iOS app. We still have to integrate it with Android app. But you still have to do this step. So make sure that you go to console.firebase.com and perform this step. Let's go to continue. And now you can see right here, you are on the home page of your Simple To-Do List project, the one that we just created. All right. Okay. So what else we need to do? You can see over here, if you want to integrate with iOS, it's right here. For Android, it's right here. For web, it's right here. We're going to start with iOS, then we're going to move to Android. And you're going to see all the different errors that's going to happen when you're integrating with iOS. So let's go to the iOS. Now, the first thing we need to do in order to register our iOS app, we need to provide the iOS bundle ID. So where do we get this bundle ID? Well, let's go back to our code, the Flutter code. We haven't really touched any code, as you can see. I'm going to go to the iOS folder. And in the iOS folder, you can see Flutter folder, workspace folder, and all of those different things. I'm going to go ahead and open up or reveal in Finder. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and open up runner.xcode, workspace folder. And let's go ahead and change this to iOS 12. So this is basically Xcode. And now I have my iOS project open in Xcode. I'm going to go ahead and click on this project. And by the way, there are other ways of finding out the bundle identifier, but we will have to jump inside the project anyways, eventually, so it's fine. And here is your bundle identifier. So let's go ahead and copy this and paste it right here. Now I can say register the app. Now what you have to do is you need to download the Google Service info.plist file. And once you download this particular file, you need to add it to your iOS project. So the first thing first, let's go ahead and download this. Now it might say different name over here for me. You can see Google Info plist number 9 because I have created many different projects. But I'm just going to copy it and I am going to paste it right over here. You can see that inside the runner folder. Finish. And here it is. So I'm just going to rename this and remove the 9. In your case, it wouldn't say 9 because you're just downloading the first one. There you go. So you have to download this on your own. So make sure that you create the Firebase project on the Firebase console and then download it. So I've downloaded it, I've saved it, everything is fine now. Now I'm going to keep it open, but just minimize it. Okay. The next thing I need to do is I need to download the packages for the Firebase core and the Cloud Firestore. Firestore is basically the database that we will be using. So let's go ahead and open up pubspec.yaml file. This is where your packages lives. And right over here in the dependencies, we're going to download 2 more dependencies. One will be on Firebase core and one will be on the Cloud Firestore. There we go. Now, if I'm just going to save it, it's going to download the dependencies, which you can see. Oops. Well, it already happened, I guess. Kind of weird. It was like right over here. But it has already downloaded the dependencies. You can always run, Flutter pub-get to download the dependencies manually. But with VS Code, if you just save it and change your pubspec.yaml file, it will download the dependencies for you. Okay, so after downloading the dependencies, you can see we have a pod file over here. We have other stuff. Let's just go ahead and run it, right? Let's go ahead and run and see what happens. Now, right now, we haven't even configured or initialized our Firebase. First, let's do that. So I'm going to go to the main.dart. And inside main.dart, right over here, I'm going to configure Firebase, which is using the Firebase.initializeApp. So we may have to import something. There we go, import Firebase core, which is right on the top, and .initializeApp. This is a promise, so we're going to wait for the promise, and we cannot use a wait unless we use async. So let's go and put async. We also want to make sure that all the widgets Flutter binding have been initialized, or else it's not going to work. So let's go ahead and call Flutter widget binding initialized. Ensure that they are initialized. All right, so we have it initialized and everything. That's great. Now, one other thing that I would do right now is actually I would close Xcode, because it might download something and then we have to use a different version of the file on the disk and all that stuff. Okay, so we got everything set up. Let's go ahead and run it, start debugging. And let's see what we get. And we are trying to run this on iPhone 12. And here we go. We get some errors. And it didn't even run. If you look at the simulator, you can already see that it's not running. And it's saying something about the iPhone target is set to 8, but the range of supported targets is 9 or 14.2.9 and all that stuff. So basically the problem is that in iPhone 12, the Xcode 12 and in iOS, basically Xcode 12, what they have done is they have removed the target to 9, and now it has to be in the range between 9 and 14.2.99. So let's go to the pod file. And you can see that we have this code over here. And so we're not really setting up the target anywhere. Now, over here on the top, it says, hey, platform target 9. But uncommenting this, it doesn't do anything, by the way. All right. So let's see how we can fix it. So I'm going to go to the pod file. So let's go ahead. So I'm already inside the pod file. So let's go ahead and see how we can fix it. What we're going to do is we are going to manually set the target to 9. So I'm just going to remove this code and add some other code. There we go. So this is now setting the target to 9. Okay. With that change in place, let's go ahead and run it again. And keep in mind that we are still trying to target just iOS right now. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Let's go ahead and click on a different file, a main.dart. So after making that change, we're going to run it again. And let's see what happens. Okay, it's trying to run on iPhone 12 Pro Max, as it says in the debugger. But let's see if it's able to run it or not. Okay, now a different kind of error. Now this error is related to something called quoted. And I'll actually show you that what that actually means in the pod files for the headers. So let's go ahead and open up Reveal in Finder. Open up the runner.xcode workspace. Don't open up the Xcode project. Open up the workspace. And sometimes it doesn't open. There we go. It finally opened. And what we are going to do is we're going to click on the pods project, and then we are going to click on the pod project again. And let's go to build settings. And over here in the search, we're going to write quoted. And it's basically this part, quoted include in framework header. And it is set to yes. So we're going to set it to no. And keep in mind, this property does change when you run Flutter clean, when you run Flutter pub get, and you'll see in other situations it also changed. So make sure that your Xcode is now open, because you will have to set this property to from yes to no. After making this change, and it might actually change underneath us, so let's go ahead and run it again. If we get this error again, then it means that it has again changed to yes. So we have to go back and change it to no. So let's go ahead and run it. If the app runs and we see the default Flutter page, which is simply displaying us a counter, then that's the indication that that the app actually runs with iOS, and we have integrated it successfully with Firebase. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, it doesn't really add anything or retrieve anything or delete anything from the Firestore Firebase database, but at least the errors are gone. So we're trying to run this, and it looks like it might be able to run because it's taking so much time. So it is trying to build the iOS application. Once the iOS application is working, then we can move on to Android, and we can fix the same issue in Android. All right, so finally you can see the iOS app running. It took some time, but it is finally running. You can see on the right-hand side the Flutter demo homepage with the counter. Everything works. Great. So this is a good indication that the errors that we were receiving are not there anymore. So this is really good. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to integrate it with Android. So let's go ahead and run it on Android. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and say start debugging on Pixel 3. And let's see. It just runs on its own. Don't worry about this app. Let's go to there we go. All right. Without changing anything for Android, let's see if Firebase integration works with Android, or does it not. Still trying to run. You can see it's still trying to build the Android app right here. And on the bottom, which is right here. And we get a big error. Okay, so definitely it's not working. And the reason is that we haven't even done anything for Android. So let's go back to our page over here, which is a console.firebase.google.com. I'm just going to say next, and just going to skip all of that. We have already integrated with iOS. That's all. That's good. There we go. Okay. Now we can add an Android app. So here's the Android. So click on the Add App, then click on the Android. Now we need the Android package name. So we need to do the same exact thing. We need to get the Android package name. Let's go back to our code, open up Android, open up app, open up source, main, and then here is Android manifest. And in the Android manifest, right on the top, right there, you can see com.example.simple to-do list. That's the thing that we want. We're just going to copy it. and paste it right here. Let's do a register app. Okay, so for Android, it is asking very similar thing that you need to download Google services.json. And once we download Google services.json, we have to put it inside the app folder. So where is our app folder? Well, this is our app folder, which is right here. So we need to put it right there, like somewhere inside the app folder. All right. Well, the first step is downloading it. Let's go ahead and click on it, download it. I'm going to copy it, move to a different screen, and be very careful. You have to put it in the app folder. There we go. And it shouldn't be called Google Services 4. It should be just called Google Services.json. So let's go ahead and do that. In your case, it would be Google Services because you're not downloading multiple files like me. So here it is, Google Services.json. Pretty cool. We got the file. That is looking good. We still have to make some other changes. So let's go ahead and see what are those other changes. The first thing is, let's go ahead and open up build.gradle file, which is inside the app folder. So it's right here. And in the build.gradle, we're going to scroll down right at the bottom, and we are going to add the plugin for Google Services. So right over here, I'm going to add a plugin for Google Services right there. Let's go ahead and save it. And I believe I have to do some other changes. So let's go to build.gradle, which is inside the Android folder. All right, so this is inside the Android folder. So let's go ahead and open that up. And we have to add a dependency for Google Services. So in the dependency section, which is right here, I'm going to add a dependency. All right. And I think that's pretty much it for Android. I mean, I don't think we have to do anything else. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Let's go ahead and run it. Start debugging. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and go to the main file or any Dart file. And then I can say start debugging. Since our Android emulator is already open, that is the one that's going to be used. And we're going to be hooked up to that. If this app runs on Android, then it means, well, our integration with Firebase is done, and now we can go ahead and do something else. Okay, so it didn't do anything. Let's see what's going on. We have a bunch of errors over here. Okay, so let's see what those errors are. Let's see, something, cannot fit something. Okay, let's go and fix these errors. You know, according to what I have done, I think I've done everything. Let's go to the terminal and let's go ahead and say Flutter clean. I don't know what I'm missing, but let's go ahead and do Flutter clean and try to run it again. Again, I'm going to go to main.dart and run it because I think I've done everything. I may have to complete this step, so let's go ahead and complete these things. Okay, so now we have com.example. Okay, yeah, so com.example.whatever. And let's go ahead and check out the debug console. And now let's go ahead and run it. Maybe that is what it was missing. Oh yeah, you know what? One other thing that I need to do. Let's go, and I don't even know where that is. Let's go to build.gradle. Let's go to app, build.gradle, and increase this minimum SDK version from 16 to 21. Okay, so that might be it. Inside app, there's build.gradle, and then make sure the minimum SDK version is 21. Again, let's go to the main.dart file and run start debugging. I think that's the only thing I was missing, maybe. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, here we go. Okay, wow. And looks like it's trying to run, and it's running on Android. Now, I know that you might be a little bit frustrated that, oh, why you keep showing me all the errors? But I think it was good, right? I mean, I was facing those errors, and to be really honest, I keep forgetting that I need to change some things. And you saw all the errors. So that's good that you saw all the errors, because now you know how to fix all those errors. We didn't really do this part, minimum SDK version from 16 to 21. At the end, we did that and it fixed the issue. All right. So you can see that these are all the steps that you need to take to integrate Firebase with your iOS application as well as your Android application. Now, let me go ahead and stop this for a minute. I'm going to go to the terminal and I'm just going to run Flutter run -d all devices all. So this means that whatever the devices are, I'm just going to run it on. Now the iOS simulator is hiding somewhere. But what it is trying to do, or what it should do, is it will run on both the devices. So if you have multiple devices, it should run on both of them. I'm not sure what's going on with the iOS simulator. I don't see any iOS simulator anywhere, but it should run on both devices. Or if you have more devices connected, it will run on all the devices. All right. So that's a good part. That not sure what happened to the iOS simulator, but that's a good part of doing this. Let's go ahead and say Q to quit. And what I'm going to do is open up the iOS simulator. There we go. Hopefully it won't go away now. And I'm going to try to run again Flutter D, which means Flutter on all devices. Now, if I had my real physical device connected using the Lightning port or whatever connection, it will also run on that device. All right, but it's not connected right now. So these are the only two simulators that are running. So it's going to try to run it on both the simulators. Now, since we ran Flutter clean, there is a possibility that on Xcode, here we go, we have to do. So that's a good thing, right? What do we have to do if you see this error? So I ran Flutter clean earlier. So you can see that if I go to pods, you can see right over here, it has set itself to yes. I'm just going to go ahead and set it to no again. That's what I was trying to show you, that it will have these issues. Let's go ahead and run it again, Flutter D. And now hopefully it will run on both devices. So on Android, it's simple, it runs. On iOS, because of the version 8 and collision with the Xcode 12, that's the problem it faces. So we have to go back and forth in Xcode and set all of these different things. But now hopefully it will be able to run it, unless it has changed that setting from no to yes again, which hopefully it shouldn't. So we're still trying to wait for Xcode to run, just to show you that it should run on both devices, and Android and iOS both are integrated with Firebase. And all of this is discussed in my course. All right, all of this. And the course will also cover some, real world, it's basically real world applications. So we're going to build TodoList, then we're going to learn about MVVM design pattern, then you're going to learn about grocery application, and there are some other applications we're going to build. So it will be a very, very real course. And I'm working on it. So hopefully it will be done next year in end of January or beginning of February. And there we go. That's what I wanted to show you, that we are able to run on both devices. It is integrated with Flutter. All right. Now, the next thing we need to do is to actually perform some action so that we can write the data to the Firebase database, and we can read the data, we can delete the data, all of those different things we have to still do, right? So that it will be covered in the next few lectures. Hey, if you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to check out my courses on Udemy. You can see that I have a lot of courses on many different topics. I just released this brand new course on SwiftUI with Firebase, and you can see it has great ratings and it covers a lot of different stuff, real world application. If you're looking for learning SwiftUI, then this is the course for you. This is a 21 plus hour course that goes into every single detail you want to learn about the SwiftUI. I have courses on MVVM design pattern, RxSwift, MVVM design pattern, SwiftUI. I also have a course for real world projects with Flutter and MVVM design pattern. So this is a great course if you want to learn about how to implement MVVM design pattern when writing Flutter applications. So all of these courses, the links for all of these courses is right there in the YouTube description. There's also a link to Patreon. So if you want to support my work, then Patreon or becoming a monthly member, that will be great. Thank you so much. And in the next videos, I will be discussing how to actually add an item to the Firebase and all the other stuff related to integrating a Flutter app with Firebase. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video.